Hello, my friends. And the intensity of combat operations, as before, is very high. 79 attacks per day. At the same time, the Ukrainian Armed Forces are also conducting counterattacks very successfully. And let's start right away with the Kupiansk direction. So, the occupiers conducted another assault on the village of Tabaivka. And again, unsuccessfully. The front line remains unchanged. Also, in the area of Sinkivka, the Russians didn't achieve success yesterday. They suffered further losses and halted all attacks. In addition, shelling of Kupiansk continues. So the occupiers are already trying to destroy the settlement in the future to make it more difficult for the Ukrainian Armed Forces to hold the defense. In the direction of Kreminna, the occupiers, besides storming the village of Terne, have resumed offensive actions in the forest near Yampolivka. So within a day, they have already conducted 6 attacks, but the front line remains unchanged. The battles continue, so we are waiting to see how events will unfold. In the Siversk direction, the occupiers have again started assaults on Bilohorivka. So throughout the year, they periodically attempt to advance here, but each time without success. So let's see what happens this time. In the Bakhmut direction, the occupiers continue their offensive actions towards Ivanivka and Klishchiivka, conducting 8 attacks within a day. Additionally, they are launching a significant amount of artillery fire along the entire front line and in the rear. So the situation there is very complex, with battles practically taking place within the village itself. However, the Ukrainian Armed Forces are doing everything to prevent the Russians from advancing towards Chasiv Yar. In the Avdiivka direction, the occupiers persist in advancing towards the outskirts of Tonenke. They have also intensified their efforts near Orlivka, and battles are ongoing near the outskirts of the village of Berdychi. So this situation is challenging, but the Ukrainian Armed Forces continue to eliminate the occupiers, preventing them from capturing populated areas without resistance. Within a day, the Russians conducted 20 attacks, but the front line remains unchanged. In the direction of Marinka, the Russians have penetrated even further than in the Avdiivka area. Within a day, 25 assaults have been recorded, and they are actively attempting to breach the Ukrainian Armed Forces defense. So, according to recent statements, the occupiers have managed to enter Krasnohorivka. However, the 3rd Assault Brigade launched a counterattack and expelled the Russians from the settlement before they could establish a significant presence there. Previously, Russian forces launched an attack on the southeastern part of Krasnohorivka and entered the city.
The day before, the forces of the Russian army attacked the southeastern part of Krasnohorivka and entered the city. In order to prevent the enemy from gaining a foothold, units of the 3rd Separate Assault Brigade, soldiers of the 1st and 2nd Assault Battalions carried out a combat operation to clear the city of enemy forces. In a short period of time, the enemy managed to prepare for a long-term defense, and despite resistance and heavy fighting, the assault groups of the brigade inflicted inevitable losses on the enemy, about 100 occupiers with 200 and 300.
Events are unfolding very actively. Meanwhile, the occupiers continue their attacks on Georgiivka, Krasnohorivka and Novomykhailivka. So we are still waiting to see how events will unfold further, but the intensity of the fighting in this direction has been the highest for several days now. In the Vuhledar direction, the Ukrainian Armed Forces successfully repelled all Russian attacks on Vuhledar and Staromayorsk. However, near Urozhaine, the occupiers continue to advance, hoping to regain control of the settlement. Similarly, there is a significant amount of shelling along the entire front line. Yet, the Ukrainian Armed Forces maintain success and the front line remains unchanged. In the Zaporizhia direction, the occupiers failed to capture Botyne and today began another round of regrouping. So the shelling continues and the front line remains unchanged. In the Kherson direction, the occupiers continue to shell the right bank and again attempt to storm the settlement of Krinky. However, the Ukrainian Armed Forces successfully repel all advancing groupings and the front line remains unchanged. Yesterday, a video surfaced online showing battles in the forest near the village of Krinky. So this indicates that the Ukrainian Armed Forces are trying to expand their foothold and the Russians don't object to it.
In the Kherson direction in the area of Krinky. Today, according to Teplinsky's Newspeak, ours cleared the village of Krinka twice with the forces of the groups of the 328th Airborne Assault Regiment and the 26th Motorized Rifle Regiment. In vain. The enemy continues to hold the bridgehead. Moreover, fighting is already taking place not only in Krinky, but, as you have already seen, in the forest south of the village. Among other things, the enemy began to take active actions in other sectors of the Kherson front, such as on the Tendrovsky Spit.
Regarding the Tendrivska Spit, Russian sources report that the Ukrainian Armed Forces allegedly attempted to carry out a landing operation on the Tendrivska Spit, but without success.
The armed forces of the Russian Federation repelled an attempt to land troops of the armed forces of Ukraine on the Tendrovskaya Spit. The enemy lost 20 killed, 1 captured, and 4 boats. 1 boat was able to escape. The landing was undertaken by the forces of the 73rd Separate Naval Center of the SOF, South. Our 2 people are wounded as a result of a drone strike.
Meanwhile, Trump made a shocking statement regarding Biden.
Candidate is a mental and physical basket case. There's never been anything like it. He's also the worst president in the history of our country. When I use Barack Hussein Obama and I interject him into where it's supposed to be Biden, and I do it purposely for comedic reasons and for sarcasm, because a lot of people say that Obama's running the country, not Biden, because he's sleeping all the time. I have no trouble getting off a stage. Anybody that watches what I do at rallies would say, wow, that's amazing. He can go 2 hours without a teleprompter, not making even a little mistake. The disinformation of the Democrats is unbelievable. They do it because they have a horrible candidate. Don't associate me with the mental midget that you portray, because I want to tell you, he should not be leading this country.
Meanwhile, the German government has prepared a plan outlining the stages of a potential Russian attack.
A possible Russian attack in 4 stages. The German government has prepared a plan describing the stages of a possible Russian attack. The war will go beyond the borders of the planet and a conflict on a global scale will break out in space for the first time. The first stage involves a disinformation campaign that will be carried out in the media, social networks, and all other possible means. In addition, Berlin is waiting for reports of cyber attacks and acts of sabotage at power plants, dams and other facilities. It is assumed that the operations will be carried out secretly, and because of this, it will not be possible to blame anyone in particular. Heavy checkmark. The second stage of the development of the conflict is the concentration of Russian troops near the borders of NATO. The answer to this will be the strengthening of the border contingent of the alliance. Cases of cyber attacks and sabotage will become more frequent, and space satellites will be disabled. Authorities have not ruled out attacks on nuclear reactors, chemical plants and hydraulic structures in the country's cities. Heavy checkmark. The third stage will be associated with pinpoint strikes with the use of conventional and non-conventional types of weapons. Such strikes can be carried out on targets on the territory of Germany. At the same time, a large number of space satellites will be destroyed. Heavy checkmark. The fourth stage provides for the breakthrough of Russian troops all the way to Germany. At this stage, hostilities will be conducted in the air, at sea, and on the territory of Germany. The clash between the countries will go beyond the boundaries of the planet, and a conflict on a global scale will break out in space for the first time.
And that's all from me. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.